start this. You should all know Megan by now. And if you haven't had a chance to connect with Megan, you really should make a point of it because she's what is driving the Wedding Co. social media. And there are so many opportunities that she can give you to spread the word through our following. So if you haven't connected with her, you should probably reach out to her after this seminar. So 2 years ago, Megan and I met through a coaching group. She approached me to see if I needed help. And luckily, I recognized that opportunity. And here we are today. It took Megan and I a while to get a rhythm going, but she really has changed my whole sort of mindset around social media. And the two gifts that Megan has really given me in this partnership is we have a weekly creative meeting now, which we don't just talk about social, we talk about all things creative, always talking about moving forward. The Wedding Co., we never look back, we always talk about moving forward. And a social media schedule. We love our social media schedule. These two ideas I think Megan will be touching on. So I'm going to turn it over to Megan and let her take over. Thanks,
Thank
Megan.
you, Catherine. Thanks, Catherine. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this works. Okay, so can everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
The big screen for everyone?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you everyone who shared their responses in the Typeform survey. Social media, as you know, has so much to it. There's so much content we can cover. And I really wanted to make sure that I was going to discuss and review the topics that interested you the most. So thank you. I really appreciated that. It really helped in creating this presentation. Today we're going to be talking about best practices and strategies for cultivating community on Instagram. Community to me is super important on all aspects of your brand and business. And Instagram is a really great place to start cultivating that community. Oh, now I can't use my tab to, sorry, this is my first time presenting in Zoom and I think I have to manually click it. So just a little bit about me. I have been in the marketing and communications world since 2013. After I graduated from University of Guelph, I studied corporate communications and public relations as a postgrad at Centennial College. From there, I worked in a couple of agencies. I worked in corporate communications at an investment consulting firm. And then when I decided I was going to go into PR and communications, my whole thought process was I wanted to eventually start my own business. So in 2017, I founded Bloom, and I work on strategic brand design services and social media strategy for businesses who want to cultivate empowered communities. So this includes brand design and rebrand services. I work on content curation, calendar creation, and social media strategy. And I wanted to share a fun fact. The Wedding Co. was actually the first wedding show that I went to after I got engaged. I think it popped up on Facebook for me, and my mom and I got our tickets. We went, and I just loved the community feel of the Wedding Co. It just felt so intimate. It didn't feel like any of those massive trade shows that I had seen about and heard about. And I eventually did go to a couple of those trade shows. I was a very eager bride, and the Wedding Co. just spoke to me. I actually ended up booking a couple of my vendors through it too. And I just stayed in touch with following the Wedding Co. And then I met Catherine. So it's full circle. So today we are going to talk about creating organic content that converts to leads and sales, how to find content, how to effectively use hashtags, how to work with analytics. We are going to talk quickly about the ever-changing algorithm on Instagram, and then there will be some time at the end for a little Q&A. So I'll go through all the content. If you have questions, jot them down or put them in the comment box. And then once I'm finished my little presentation, we can open the floor and discuss and talk. So first up, creating organic content that converts to leads and sales? The big question always is, what is the key to getting your organic content to convert to leads and sales when you're not putting money behind it? So just as a side note, none of this has to do with paid social media. It's all organic. And some of the big keys for getting this content to convert is time, commitment, and love. Time, just like anything, you have to put the time and effort into your social media strategy. You have to show up and you have to stay really committed and be consistent. You can't just post every so often and expect to see growth or success with your social strategy. You have to put the effort into it as well. I know it takes time and a lot of effort, but when you do put in all of that time, you're going to see results. And then love in the form of nurturing the relationships that you have. Just like any relationship in business or in personal life, you have to be engaging, you have to put your foot forward and talk, engage, comment, and that's how you will get followers, if you are also showing up. So like I said, you have to show up on social just as much as you want your audience to show up. And there's a few ways that you can go about this. The first is the explore feed. And this is actually a really great place on Instagram to find new people to follow, to find new content. It's the little magnifying glass in Instagram if you aren't familiar. And this is a great place to work with because Instagram is pushing their favorite content to the explore feed. The content that shows up in the explore feed is ticking off all the boxes in Instagram's algorithm, and that's why it's showing up. So if you're engaging with this content and you're giving love to it, Instagram's going to see that you're showing up to it, and hopefully the algorithm will work in your favor for that. It's also very intuitive. So the more you engage with the explore feed, the more it will figure out what kind of content you like, what kind of hashtags you follow, who the people are that you want to have in your community. Another great way to show up and to get your name out there on social is by sharing. So when you stumble upon content that incites you and excites you, share it with your followers. This will notify the profile that you've shared, and it will just drive more attention. And as you know, when you share content, often the person's content that you shared, they'll show that you've shared that in their stories. I know I've said share 1,000 times here, but it's just a really great way to collaborate. And lastly, engage. I think I'm going to say this word a lot today. Engaging is just such a key element in your organic social strategy, as much as posting the right content is. You have to just always be engaging if you want that growth, if you want those new followers, and if you want to be seen on Instagram. Okay, so the type of content that you post really matters. And when you're curating your content, put yourself in the shoes of your audience. So if you were to get a photo, or if you were to see this content that you're about to post, would you be likely to engage with it? Does it draw you in? Does it make you curious? And when I say curious, we all know how quickly you can scroll through Instagram. But when you find a photo that really grabs your attention, you're likely to read the caption or to click that person's profile to see more of their content. So keep that in mind when you're curating the content. Does it inspire you? And was it worth your time? That kind of ties back into the curiosity aspect, because we scroll through Instagram super quick, and it can be like 30 seconds that you actually take the time to look at that post. Be meaningful with the content. We're all creatives here. We know what a stale, boring photo looks like. So don't just post to post. If you think it's boring and stale, it's likely that the audience is going to find it boring. I know a lot of people feel like they need to be posting constantly, but that's not the case. If it's not a good post, then don't worry about it. If you don't have content for a week, that's fine. You can show up in other ways by sharing on stories. You can be exploring through that explore feed and just engaging with the community that you already have. Am I going too quickly, or are we all good? Okay. Okay, one of the questions that came through that I thought was really good to highlight is, what should you post on Instagram when you don't have much content? Now, this is a good question because you don't need to have a marketing team or a professional photographer to be curating all this content for you. There's a lot of ways to work around this. One of them is going through user generated content, also known as UGC. And this is content that your fans, your clients, your customers are taking and tagging you in. So when you get tagged in content, it will come up in your tagged section of Instagram, and engage with this content, either repost it in your feed, share it on your stories, because that's showing the people who have created it and put a lot of effort and love into it that you see them. It's also a really great way to develop some content into your calendar. So a good example of this that you can look into after is Smash and Test. They are a luxury romper lifestyle company based in Vancouver, and the content that they push out is the majority of it is user generated content. Their fans love this brand. They're always tagging them in posts, and Smash and Test will repost them all the time through their stories or on their feed. They're not necessarily paying these people to do the content. They're not asking them to do it. It's just all out of love. So the more you show your audience that other people are liking your product or service, the more they might do the same. So some examples of Smash and Test. I should have clicked through as I was talking about them. It feels like a really good sense of community when you go on their page. And there's a lot of other platforms on Instagram that really capitalize on user generated content. Another resource I always talk about with my clients is Canva. This is just a quick little image I whipped up. Canva is an awesome tool. If you aren't using it, play around with it. It's really easy, user-friendly, and it's basically like a graphic design tool for anybody. And it's a really good place to create original content. You don't always need to have photos in your feed that are yours, or even photos that someone has taken of your business. You can create content of, like word heavy type content that can kind of be mixed into the calendar. Again, when you're creating this, just keep in mind that you want it to be meaningful. You want it to resonate with your audience, whether it inspires or educates them. Royalty-free platforms, royalty-free photo platforms are another tool that you can use to curate content. I use this sparsely. Again, we're all creatives here, and you know when you come across a stock image that looks icky. You don't want to use too many stock photos in your content plan, but if you have created your list of the type of content you want to share, and there's something that really works with your brand, then search for those specific photos. This is a stock image from, where did I get it from? From Unsplash. And actually a lot of the content that is posted through Unsplash, which is royalty free, is user generated. They are usually like raw looking photos. They're not those cheesy marketing type photos. So go through that. It's fun to explore and pull from. And then lastly, just pick up your smartphone and take photos. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be edited and polished. I mean, I know that the photographers in the room are probably thinking like, we want all of the beautiful photos that are taken on camera, but it's been really interesting because when Instagram first came on the scene, everybody was just posting photos in the moment. It was a quick snap and an instant post. It was kind of a visual response to what Twitter was doing, but through visuals. And as brands and businesses started to hop on Instagram for marketing purposes, they began hiring photographers, using studios, and there was big teams that came in to create content that was really beautiful and really thought out. And then with that, people started to work off of this, and feeds became really curated, really polished. Well, when the pandemic hit, we saw a turn in how images were being posted and shared on Instagram. people didn't have access to studios, people didn't have access to those professional photographers. So brands and businesses and creators were starting to have to just create content using their phones or their hobby cameras. And we have seen a trend of content that really is raw and unfiltered. Feeds aren't looking super polished anymore. And the response that that audiences on Instagram are giving is really good. People love this raw content. So just pick up your smartphone and take a photo if you find this content meaningful and post it. Don't think anything more of it. Okay, but what type of content should it be? When you're developing your content calendars, don't choose your photos first. Think of the themes and topics and ideas that you want to get across. So when I am putting together content calendars, I like to work with content pillars, also known as topic buckets. And for the purpose of this seminar, I'm going to go through 4 types of content pillars. But when you're working on your own content pillars, they can be a little bit more niche or specific to your brand. And then under each topic of the content pillar, that's where you would really flesh out more type of content. So I'll just go through this just as a little example. Here we have the educational content pillar, the inspiring pillar, entertaining, and relatable. So for educational, let's say you, well, actually, educational content is just something that you want to educate your audience with. Obviously, it could be a how-to, just a takeaway that they feel like they actually learned something when they interacted with your content. So let's say you were, or are a caterer, you want to share how to assemble the perfect charcuterie board. You could do this in a carousel. This is obviously the cover image, and then you could have 5 other photos through that carousel to give like a step-by-step on how to do it. Again, these are just examples. Inspiring content would be types of content that inspire people. Either it's a quote that really resonates with the person, or for the purpose of the wedding industry, couples who feel inspired by content that they could apply to their own weddings. Maybe it's color palettes or tablescape inspiration, wedding dresses. It's just that type of content. And again, when you are sharing the images, make sure you have those captions that explain exactly what you're sharing. For the entertaining column, this content can be funny and have like an entertaining purpose, but it can also be entertaining in the sense that people feel entertained in a sense to engage with it. So maybe you're asking a question or posing a this or that, multiple choice. It's encouraging your audience to comment and to interact with the post. And then lastly is the relatable content pillar. This content always does super well because it's really personal. People like to interact on Instagram on a personal level, just like I'm sure all of you like to see when you're flipping through stories and people are talking about their lives or something that's going on behind the scenes. It pulls you in. So when I was thinking of a sample image to share here, this one really resonated with me because I am a mom of a toddler and I work from home, just like a lot of other people do right now. And I mean, there's been countless amount of times where Eleanor has just been on my lap and I've been on the phone. So this is a piece of content that probably would pull me in. It's relatable. With all this to say, I should have mentioned it before, when you are developing your content calendars and you're using these content pillars, you don't always have to be thinking of content that falls under your business. Like tie in some personal elements, tie in inspirational photos. If you like travel, talk to your audience about places you like to go visit, or if there's a restaurant in your community or in your neighborhood that you like to go to, share that. At the end of the day, you are trying to build that really strong community. And when people feel that sense of community with your business and your feed, they'll want to support your business and they'll want to be your client. Hopefully they'll want to work with you down the road. So it's really that brand loyalty and brand trust that you're trying to create with the organic content. So like I said, these 4 pillars encourage the connection. Okay, so I wanted to do a quick little exercise so you don't have to hear me ramble on. It will just be really quick, 3 minutes, but I want you to grab a piece of paper and pen. If you don't have one in front of you, you can just jot down some notes on your phone. But create your page like this with the 4 columns: educational, inspirational, entertaining, and relatable. And I have some prompts under each. So before we go through the exercise, I'm just going to quickly go through them. These are just examples. When I'm working with clients, we go into depth into specific prompts for the business so that you can pull together content calendars quickly and kind of follow a specific pattern. But for this exercise, I want you to think of an educational type of content for your business. So what's a prompt could be like how to, or did you know? For inspirational, think about a testimonial from a client or something that somebody has said to you about your business. This can be inspiring to somebody who sees this. They'll feel inspired seeing that, you know, somebody else has shared such a wonderful message about you, and hopefully they're inspired to work with you. Or think about an image that inspires your own brand. It could be from your brand mood board, or again, on a personal level, beautiful scenery from your favorite travel destination. On the entertaining front, you can think of a behind the scenes story, maybe in your job or just life, that made you laugh, that you want to share. If it makes you laugh, it's likely that your audience will find it funny and engaging too. Or think about an engaging piece of content that motivates your audience. So this is that entertaining engagement aspect, sharing a this or that, multiple choice ABC, or, you know, asking a question like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? This motivates people to want to answer questions and comment on your feed. And then lastly, relatable. Some prompts here are a story of a person you view as a mentor, or yeah, just, you know, I don't really know I wrote a story, but I'm reading it out now and that sentence doesn't make sense, but, you know, sharing about someone who you really view as a mentor, or a wedding speech that made you cry. If it's that deep personal story, then somebody else might find it really relatable. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. And I know that 3 minutes is not a lot of time to brainstorm, but hopefully we'll just get your creative juices flowing and just give you a little look into how this can work. And if you are finished early or you don't really know what you're doing, you don't have to worry about it. You can we'll just put the 3 minutes on the clock now.
Hey, Megan.
Yeah.
Can people, if they want to, maybe share some in the chat?
Yes, that's a great idea. I was going to actually say that. So if you're finished and you want to share some of your thoughts and ideas, definitely put them in the chat.
Like just do like educational and then.
Yeah, it might help prompt other people as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I know 3 minutes is not a lot of time to brainstorm, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse into how this can work. And hopefully, you were able to create at least one type of content that you can share on your feed. Uh, Again, like I said, when I work with clients on this, we get into detail. And if you have any questions about this process or you want to learn more, I'd love to talk to you about it. And when we send through the follow-up email with the recording, I'm going to send a PDF file that has a few more prompt questions under each pillar so that you can work on it on your own time. So don't worry about taking a screenshot of this or anything. We'll send through that PDF. And after talking about all this content, where should it be applied? Video format right now is doing incredibly well on Instagram. You might have heard of the term snackable content. It's the buzzword right now in marketing and digital marketing. And video is really here to stay. Share it in the form of reels, short video, IGTV, but also share it on your feed and in your stories. Okay, reels is a whole conversation we could have, a whole seminar, but I wanted to just quickly, briefly touch on it. They are the biggest thing on Instagram right now, as you've probably noticed. Instagram loves when you share reels, and they do twice as when you post them, they appear 2 times more in the discovery page than a feed post. So it's a great way to share content. And it can be really raw and unedited. So experiment with it, just do it, have fun with it, see what works, see what doesn't. They're new, so you can't really go wrong with them. Look at what other people are doing, look at what trends people are using, and kind of replicate and work off of those. Just a few tips. Only use the music that's supplied by Instagram. So I know that certain accounts like business, creator, personal, there's different music in the repertoire. Business accounts don't have access to the top 40 or trendy music that you might see in like a creator or a personal Instagram page. The thing is, don't do a workaround. Don't record something with your favorite Beyonce song and then post it to your business account if you don't have access to it, because Instagram could flag that and block your video, and you don't want that. So if you can only find a song that you've never heard of and your audience hasn't heard of, that's totally fine. Instagram will still love that you're creating those reels. Incorporate hashtags into the captions. Just like in feed posts, you can use up to 30 hashtags, and this is a really great way to be discovered. And then have a hook with your reel. Within the first few seconds, have something that really pulls the viewer in to want to watch that full 30 seconds or those full 15 seconds. Especially because if someone were to reshare your reel, or if you're sharing it to your stories, it only does just show a few seconds, and you want that hook so that you can click it and watch more of it. Like I said, I could talk a lot more about reels, but we have a bit more to cover. And if you have any questions about reels, I'd be happy to talk to you offline about them. But all that to say, just try them out and have fun with them. They don't have to be perfect.
Megan?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I interrupt for 1 sec, or do you want to just keep going?
No, go for it. We're on to the next theme. So
We just have a quick question here. When it comes to creating relatable content for Instagram, any tips on how to do this without having to share too much personal information? I'm a pretty private person, and while I'm happy to share a little bit about myself, I'm not interested in oversharing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. You don't have to share about your personal life. You don't have to share about what, you don't have to share deep into your personal life. You can share relatable content in the form of maybe like a restaurant that you visited that you really like, or something that you're working on that you might find someone might relate to. So I don't know who asked the question.
Well, Michelle asked that, and Michelle's a florist. What about, like, for me, it's all about behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes, that's relatable. Like it's not your personal life, but it's a personal look into how you're going about business, and people love to see that. So Michelle, when you did your takeover, you did share some really great behind the scenes, and that can be stuff that you can implement into your strategy as well. Even like sharing a look into let's say somebody asked for an arrangement with a color palette that you've never worked with before. Instead of just sharing the final photo of the bouquet, share like, oh, I've actually never worked with these these colors before. I mean, this could be a really dumb example, but you know, pulling the flowers out of the refrigerator, or when you go to the flower market to pick up your inventory, that's relatable content in a sense. I hope I answered that question okay.
That's great.
Okay. And if you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in. But again, we'll have some time at the end to open the floor to more questions. Okay, so how to effectively use hashtags. You have to do your research. This statistic is from a Hootsuite blog post. Hootsuite is a social media scheduling platform, and a post with at least one Instagram hashtag averages 12.6% more engagement than posts without a hashtag. So when you're using hashtags, the whole goal is to be discovered by people who are not in your current audience, who are not your current followers. You want to be discovered when people are searching hashtags or when people go into the hashtag explore pages. The best rule of thumb is to use at least 10 hashtags. You can use up to 30, but if you have 10, then you're good. And you want to be able to really take time to research what hashtags other fellow industry professionals use, what your couples or clients are searching for. Take the time to just see what's working and what's not working. And I'm going to go into more detail with this on the next slide, but when you're looking at hashtags, look for posts that incorporate 20,000 to 350,000 posts. So I'm going to share this here. I hope that you can see this okay. But for example, the hashtag getting married. As you'll see, the highest performing hashtag here, hashtag getting married, has 3.3 million posts. It's a very popular hashtag to use, which is great. But if your whole purpose is to be discovered and to show up in the discovery feed, you don't want your content to be drowned by all of those other people who are using the hashtag. It's not to say that 3.3 million people are using it at that second, but it shows us that it is used a lot. So there's a really good chance that people are using it on an ongoing basis. So look between 20,000 and 350,000 posts. For this example, we're going to look at the hashtag getting married 2022. It has 23.9 thousand posts, still a lot of posts. And the reason why you want to use this number and is because if you use a hashtag that has only 200 posts or 2,000 posts, it might seem like a lot, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. And people aren't probably utilizing this or searching it. So 20,000 is a good number to start with. Just like anything else on Instagram, when you're working with your organic strategy, it takes some time and trial and error to figure out what works best for your business. So one way to work with a hashtag effectively is to search for them. Let's say you just use a generic word like hashtag married. There will be other hashtags under the list that incorporate the word married that you can kind of sift through and figure out which ones would work with your brand. Now, if you click the Getting Married 2022, it will pop up as a discovery page with all other hashtags that include this hashtag. Another way to find more hashtags is if you click one of the images. So for this instance, I clicked this photo of this one couple, scrolled down to the other hashtags they used, and you can play around with some of the other tags that they incorporated. So again, it's really just playing around and exploring with what types of hashtags are popular, what tags people are using, and what tags might work for your business.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Is there a way to know how your hashtags are working?
Yes,
You'll get to
that
that.
is a good question. So when you go onto your insights, and I think I might mention this on another slide, but okay, so let's say you're on your feed and you click one of your posts, you can view the individual insights for that post. The post insights will pop up, and if you swipe up on that, it will show you what impressions came from certain hashtags that you used. It doesn't give you a whole lot of detail on the Instagram app, but if you utilize other scheduling platforms, one of the platforms I really love is Later. It gives you really in-depth insight into that. So if this is something that you really want to explore and learn more about, I would recommend trying out some scheduling platforms to see if you can utilize their insights.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So in terms of organizing your hashtags, it kind of is goes under the same concept of these content pillars. You want to develop chunks of or groups of different hashtags that you can use when you're posting content from each pillar. So develop about 20 to 30 hashtags for each pillar, rotate through them. You don't always have to use the same ones. And then also just try to experiment as well. Like you don't always necessarily have to post a post with a hashtag, even though the statistic says it does better, it might not necessarily always do better. So just play around with it and see if content posts better or doesn't for you with or without hashtags. And then save them and copy and paste them for easy access. So you can save them in your notes on your phone, or if you work off of a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet, you can save them in there as well. I usually like to save them with the content pillars that I have done, so it's really easy to just copy and paste when I'm scheduling content. How to work with your analytics on Instagram. So you can only work with your analytics if you know exactly the strategy you're going into social media with. Social media is really the objective to your business goals, or one of the objectives to your business goals. So if you know exactly what you want to get out of social, it will be a lot easier to understand what you're looking for in your analytics. Understanding which post performs the best is one thing, but you want to completely understand the full picture. So let's just say, for example, one of your goals is to increase traffic to your site by 50% by the end of 2021. Well, if you look at your website analytics and you see that one day you had a spike in hits on your site, go to your social media, go to your Instagram and see if that same day you had a spike or you had a really great performing post. They all kind of correlate with each other and work hand in hand. And yeah, analytics are interesting because you can't really look back at them after 3 months and say you understand them. It can take up to 9 months or a year to really get your analytics working for you. A few key insights that I really like to monitor when I'm looking at analytics are time. So on the Instagram app, under the audience, you can see the best performing times that you should post, or when the best times your audience are online. If you use a scheduling platform, I'm going to say Later again, I promise I'm not affiliated with them. I've used so many different scheduling platforms, and Later has been by far my favorite. They do have a free version as well, but they have a really in-depth, detailed breakdown of when your audience is online and active. And if you work with those times, then you're posting content that your audience will really truly see. I like to look at shares, because if people share your content, that means they really truly love it and they're sharing it with a whole other audience. So you're getting double or triple the amount of eyes to your content. Saves are another great metric to look at, because this means that somebody has seen the post and they want to save it for another time. Obviously, they want to go back. They don't want to forget about it. So maybe they are inspired or moved by it, or maybe they just want to keep it in their back pocket for the future. So you are now in their saved section, and they're going to remember you when they look back at that. And lastly is reach. So reach is how many people saw your content, whether it's your followers or others who discovered your content through a hashtag, or they've seen it by someone else who shared it. Now, reach is a really important number to monitor, because it actually means more than the amount of likes that you get on a post. I don't know about you, but it's so often that we're just scrolling through our feed and looking at the content and mentally liking it, but not double tapping it. And that goes for a lot of people. They're not actually doing the work to double tap it. If they've seen it, taken it in, and seen your name pop up there, you're reaching them. So you might get 50 likes, but you're reaching 1,050 people. It's a really great number to look at. Reach and impressions are sometimes terms that can be a little confusing. So reach is the amount of unique individuals who see your content. So let's say 10 people have seen the content. Impressions is how many times it has shown up in their feed. So one person might see it 10 times, and that number is often a lot larger because they might have gone back to your profile, seen it again, and yeah, so that's what impressions means. Again, don't focus on the amount of likes, don't focus on the amount of followers. Those are vanity metrics. They really don't mean a whole lot. And just one key thing is to, I mean, we all know it, just don't compare yourself to your competitors or other industry professionals. Somebody might have 20,000 followers and you might have 400 followers, but you're getting the same amount of likes, or you're maybe even getting more saves and shares. It's what content is resonating with your audience and what content is really meaningful. So don't worry about the amount of followers. Don't worry about the amount of likes. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Okay, I think I covered all of that. And keep your analytics organized. It's the only way you're going to be able to work off of them. I like to keep them organized in a Google spreadsheet. If you use a scheduling program again, you can automatically download the analytics, but as a small business, it's really easy to just every so often go review your analytics on the Instagram app and take note in a spreadsheet and just see month to month how things work. Another really easy way is to save your best performing posts to a saved album. So I did put a little video of how to do this, just in case you haven't used this tool before, but on the save, if you hold down your saved button, it will pop up as it will pop up in your albums, and then you can create an album like best performing posts and save it there. And then every so often you can go back and look at what some of your best performing posts were so that you can work off of them, replicate them, add to them. Again, it's all just a game of trial and error when it comes to your organic strategy. Now, working with Instagram's algorithm, it is ever changing. Unless you work for Facebook and Instagram, you are not going to know exactly how this crazy algorithm works. As a social media specialist, I'm always trying to figure out how it works. We all are. But the few things that I can offer are just to stay up to date with the trends. If you're stuck in just posting feed posts, start incorporating videos, start using stickers in your stories, try Reels out. The algorithm will pick up that you're using their new features because they want to push these new features out, and hopefully Instagram will reward you for that. And again, just engage. That is Instagram's main goal, is to have people engaging, is to have people building their communities, creating their communities. It's really not just a visual platform to share photos. They want people to be talking and creating those communities. So as much as you are thinking about your content strategy, think about how you can best engage with your audience. And again, Instagram always loves when you're personable. You don't have to share details into your personal life, but share those behind the scenes, show your face, show that you are actually a real person behind your brand. Instagram loves when you do that, and so does your audience. Lastly, I want to encourage all of the Wedding Co members to follow each other if you aren't already. I'm sure most of you are, but this is a great way to kind of engage with a community that you already have. The Wedding Co is such an awesome community, and take the time to engage with each other on Instagram, share the work that you're doing. You don't have to have like a specific community already, like you already have this community, so work on it, work off of it, and see how it helps grow your platforms organically. And that is my ramble. I know that I might have sped through some content. Like I said, there's just so much to it, but if I can really just offer one takeaway, it's to be showing up on Instagram like you want your audience to show up. If you have any questions offline or after we log off and you think of something, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is here. And just, I'd love to talk more about it. I could talk about it all day, and I do talk about it all day, but I will stop my screen now and open up the floor. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, or we can just turn our mics on, and feel free to shout out your question. I do see that there's some questions in the chat, so maybe I'll just quickly go through those, or what do you think, Catherine?
Well, I think we got the question that was asked. I have first of all, take a breath.
Yeah.
I feel like you were just like, woo, and thank you. You really did that in a incredibly short amount of time. That was a lot of information. I just had a little question. Because you could probably go down the analytic rabbit hole, right? And then all of a sudden, then you're even more confused than when you started.
Yeah.
So if you could give us maybe one analytic to focus on at first to start, because I think we have to schedule times to look at analytics. As much as you're scheduling when you're posting, if you can schedule a half hour and leave it at a half hour so you don't go down the analytic rabbit hole. If you could say, what would we be looking at first? What should be the first one that we look at to start to get a practice of looking at analytics? What would be your number one pick?
Okay, so if you haven't gone through analytics before, do this. This is your homework. Go through the last 20 or 25 posts that you've done. Like I said, you can pull up individual insights for those posts by just clicking on it. And look at the numbers. If the numbers are a lot higher on a specific post than another, save it to your best performing posts. Once you've gone through that little exercise of going through your last 25 or 30 posts, then go back to that saved album and see if there's a theme of content that is always popping up and doing well. And then when you're creating your next couple weeks for your strategy, see if you can replicate that content or kind of use the same theme.
Great. That's a great idea. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask?
Oh yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah.
With Reels, can you hashtag Reels to share them? Yeah. So it's like kind of the same as a post.
Exactly. And the captions you can, or even in the comment, you can put your hashtags in. Just like a feed post, you can use up to 30 hashtags. And I would recommend definitely trying some Reels with hashtags to see if they are reaching a broader audience.
Okay,
Wendy?
I've heard that you should separate your hashtags. So that's usually what I do. So you do a few in your actual post, and then you do another set in your comments. Does that actually make a difference?
It actually doesn't make too much of a difference. If you are putting your hashtags in your caption, so like your main copy, a lot of people like to, do those line breaks just so that it doesn't look super overwhelming for the person who's reading the post. Okay, let me step back. When you post comments or hashtags in the comments, they're still being seen. But it doesn't make a huge difference. When you first post the content, and there's no hashtags, there's a few seconds where your content isn't being seen. So if you don't want to miss out on those few seconds, include the hashtags in your caption. Otherwise, in the comments is totally fine. I think that was a long-winded answer, but it doesn't really matter where you put your hashtags as long as they are there. And again, I did mention to, experiment, play around with some posts without hashtags too, just to see if they do perform better for you or perform worse. But no, it doesn't matter where you put your hashtags.
Jonathan.
Sorry, another question. Live videos, how successful are they? Should we think about doing live videos?
Yeah, any feature that Instagram has, they like when you use it. So live videos are there for you to use. And if they see that this is the type of feature that you really like to utilize a lot, then they'll reward you for that. Kind of sounds funny that they reward you, but the algorithm will reward you in pushing your content out further. Live videos are also good because they'll save to an IGTV. And then from there, you can even pull little voice notes or clips from the IGTV and recycle it into a reel. So you can do a lot with lives that end up turning into IGTVs.
Can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on posting on Instagram and just sharing it to Facebook?
Yeah.
Should Facebook be a completely different post?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, don't connect to your Instagram and Facebook platforms. I know it's easy, but you're trying to reach different audiences, and there are different audiences on your Facebook and Instagram channel. Also, when you post to Instagram and it automatically posts to Facebook, it's formatted for Instagram. So it looks like you posted it through Instagram and you're not giving Facebook the same effort and time. Facebook also doesn't have to be as wordy and long, and you can put direct links into your Facebook posts where you can on Instagram. So if you have a Facebook strategy, work on that as well. Don't link the two.
What if you hate Facebook?
Don't use it. You don't have to use Facebook. That's the thing with social media. I feel like a lot of businesses think that they have to be on every single platform, and that's not the case. You can put all your energy into one platform. Maybe you hate Instagram, and I'm sorry if you do, but I feel like everyone who is on here probably has some interest in it. But if you hate Instagram and Facebook, don't put your energy into it. You can focus on your LinkedIn strategy, your Pinterest strategy. And if you don't like social media at all, don't show up on it, because if someone goes onto your platform and they see it's old and stale, it doesn't really do anything for your business anyway. So yeah, if you hate Facebook, I just wouldn't put your energy into it. Put all your energy into the platforms that you like.
Okay, is there anything else? Does anybody want to ask any other questions? Oh, Jonathan again. Yes, keep the conversation going, Jonathan.
This is really good. When you do like paid ads through Instagram, I like to do like targeted audiences. Are those effective?
Yeah, so I actually don't work on paid social, so I don't have much insight into that. I have worked a little bit on it, and yeah, you can target specific audiences with paid ads, and they are effective, but I don't focus on paid, so I don't really have that much insight into it.
Jonathan, you should go and rewatch we did last month, we did the paid social media seminar.
Yeah.
And it's up on the members website.
Okay, cool. Yeah. But do you find like organic marketing way more successful than paid?
I mean, it's all I focus on, and I'm passionate about it, because with organic, you are cultivating those relationships and creating the community. Paid is great if you have something that you want to push out quickly and get like a spike in website views or audience, but it doesn't always mean that those people are going to stick around. Mm-hmm. With the organic strategies that I do, you're looking at people that are going to follow you for a long time and that are going to stay around and that really love and trust your brand. you don't really get that same conversion when you're paying
So,
on Instagram.
so I would say organic is more for branding, and paid is more for sales. So for
Exactly.
example, we do a lot of organic for branding, but when it comes to selling tickets to the Wedding Co market, we
Mhm.
put most of our marketing budget behind paid media because it's an instant. We're looking for an actual sale, like we're selling something very specific, but with our organic, we're just continuously branding, which is completely different than making a sale.
Yeah, exactly. It's the brand awareness that you're really focused on with the organic content. I mean, it is fun to play around with paid advertising on social too, because you can see what works and what doesn't. And you know, Instagram and Facebook, for that matter, do like when you use both because they are two tools that they have. So, I mean, just like the features that Instagram offers, if you're putting a little bit of money behind the Instagram here and there, they're going to like that as well. But I know a lot of brands that are solely that solely work on organic and have never put any money towards their strategy, and it can work.
Yeah, I like that more.
I do think though, I think the payoff here is when you are doing paid, you're not putting the time, right? Or it kind of balances out in organic. You got to put a lot of time into it. So that's money. Time is your money. Whereas paid, you put it up there and it works for you,
Mhm.
right? So it works differently for different people. And if your time is very organized with organic and gets more, if you refine it and refine it and refine it and refine it, then it becomes something that's actually affordable, right? Because you've refined your process, so you're not spending as much time. But if you're spending half a day on your organic, right, that's money, right? But with paid, you're just putting the money in and you let it run itself. So there's a payoff to each, right? And it's got a value, it's got a money value to it. So it just depends what you want to do. But again, it's getting that process down to analyzing what you're doing and getting that framework. That's what I loved about the 4 different sort of categories you gave us. That's a great framework to start with. There you have 4 things you can put in your schedule, right? You don't need to post every day, 4 times a week, based on those frameworks. Brilliant, great place to start.
And you also don't have to spend like 2 hours a day on Instagram. If you can just like time block 15, 20 minutes a day to just engage with your audience, look at people that you would love to have follow your account and follow them. It's just a good way to start and to see how that can impact your growth and your success. The more time you put into Instagram, the more success you're going to get, just like anything. But if you're putting 5 minutes a day in, like, that's better than nothing.
Sorry, one more question. Are stories still relevant?
Yes, stories are still relevant. Stories are still a great place to reshare other people's content. Stories are a good place to talk about content that might not have a place on Reels, because you only have 30 seconds for Reels. So if there's something you want to go into more depth with, use stories. If there's something behind the scenes that might not have like a super big hook, but you have really awesome fans that are always watching your stories, then do that. And if you don't have anything to post in your feed, just post on stories. Like, it, as long as you're using some of the features, it doesn't really matter where you're sharing your content.
Any more questions? We're kind of we're over our time.
We're over our time. Well, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in and watching and listening. And again, if you have any questions offline, or you think of some questions tomorrow or next week, you know where to find me. And again, if you have any content that you want to share on the Wedding Co., just reach out or even DM the Wedding Co. I'm usually the one to respond or to connect on those DMs. So I hope that we can connect more after.
So
Catherine.
thank you so much, Megan. That was really really great, and I really appreciate the idea of looking at. I know we're a community, but really looking at who is a part of the community of the Wedding Co. and starting there, like
Mhm.
who you're wondering, who should we share? Well, and that's how the editorial co-marketing initiative, part of that was built out of this idea of sharing each other to get more engagement. But I do have to say, it's been incredible working with Megan in that I still, like, we're very creative together and we work really well together, and I don't have to worry about the analytics. I get to do what I love to do about social, whereas she's the one who's driving the machine. So if you want to be creative with this social, but you don't necessarily want to learn the machine part of it, having someone like Megan or a social media manager might be an option. And again, I know it's money, but money well spent, because you're going to end up spending that time trying to figure it out. So there are a lot of ways to manage your social media, and having somebody else do it too is a great way. So we will be sending an email out tomorrow with the recording. Megan's going to have some slides, I think, to send you. But seriously, if you have not connected with Megan as a Wedding Co member, you really should. And again, we're always looking for content.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure you tag us. A lot of times we just see what you're doing and then I'm like, Megan, so-and-so's doing this, right? Share this. But if you tag us, it's a no-brainer, right? She's on it. Megan's watching all the time. And yeah, we love to share our members. In fact, that's all we really do share is you guys. That's what we do. So yeah, so I will send out the information about the mastermind next month, and a little follow-up with things that are due in the next little while. But thank you all for coming, and yeah, we'll see you next month, hopefully, at our mastermind.
Awesome.
Enjoy
Thanks
this
again,
nice
everyone.
weather, and enjoy our freedom coming. It's coming, people. It's coming.
It's coming. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.